Hi everyone, I am Izzy Ramirez, and today we're going to start with Work Your Brand, Branding 101. I enjoy very much this process with my own brand, and hopefully I can help you guys out a bit with your branding process to make it a little bit easier. So, the first thing that we're going to be seeing in our agenda today is going to be branding versus marketing. We're going to see the difference between those two and some of their components. Number two is going to be falling in love with your brand. What needs to be determined for your brand in order for it to be successful, of course. And number three is going to be resources, and where should you be using your brand? Okay. So let's begin over here with branding. You guys might have some type of notion of what branding is, what marketing is, but in a nutshell, branding is the process of creating an identity, and marketing is the process of building awareness towards that identity that you have created. All right. So let's see a little bit more of the differences between each one. Branding is the why. You can see it as the who and the why of your company, right? It's supposed to have a story, a value, a clear visual proposition for your clients. It's gonna hold all of that, all those promises and all of that the purpose that you want your brand to have. Marketing, on the other hand, what it's going to be the how. How are you showing your brand to your clients? How are you getting your name and your brand out there for people to start recognizing? The next one is going to be branding is long term versus marketing is short term. Okay. So branding is long term. Why is branding long term? When you're in the process of branding your your company, you should make sure that you are comfortable with it, that you are happy with it, that you're not going to be wanting to change it down the road, because that's going to, if you start changing your brand, it's not going to be as impactful. It's not going to be making as much of a statement for your target audience. All right. So if you, for example, have a brand already, or like a logo already established, but then 2, 3 weeks afterwards, you already started doing marketing materials and you started putting your logo out there, but then you started making some changes, right? You had initially like a plane and some mountains, and then you changed it for a moon and the oceans, and that's not going to help your brand to make an impact and for clients to start remembering it, all right, to get recognized. An example that comes to mind, you guys are maybe familiar with Dunkin', right? The brand Dunkin' was previously Dunkin' Donuts. In my mind, for example, it's always Dunkin' Donuts. When I say, let's go get some coffee, let's go to Dunkin' Donuts. I know that it has changed recently, and that maybe they still have they have the new brand, the new name, just Dunkin', only with the orange. But because we were so used to seeing Dunkin' Donuts everywhere, it's really hard to take that mental concept out of our head. That perception of Dunkin' in our head secretly is still Dunkin' Donuts. At least it is for me, and that's going to happen when with your branding. That's why it's important to make sure that you're happy with it and you stick to it long term. Marketing, on the other hand, is going to be short term because we're always going to be bringing out new marketing materials, right? An example is going to be, for example, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has always had the same name. They've always had the same logo, the same style, but their marketing materials are going to be changing, right? They're going to have new ads, new commercials, new promotions, more things to be promoting their brand. So marketing is always going to be short term because you have to be bringing out new materials. Next is going to be branding is macro versus marketing is micro. Okay, so branding is going to be the big picture, right? That's what you want your clients to recognize your entire brand. Marketing is going to be the steps and the actions that you're putting in place in order for your brand to be recognized by others. So that is why branding is going to define the direction. It's going to have the clear path of where you're pointing to. What is your brand offering? What is it? What is it giving to your clients? What story? What values? What promises is it making? So that's going to give you a clear path of what you're aiming towards. On the other side, marketing, what it does, it defines an approach. Okay, so the approach is going to be, how are you drawing clients to you? Okay, how are you drawing the clients to that path that you already have established, which is your brand? Brand builds loyalty versus the marketing build response. Okay, so builds loyalty in the sense that once you have a brand already established and you already have a client that has used your company, that has booked with you, they don't necessarily have to be seeing your marketing materials in order for them to come back to you. Once you're hooked on a brand, you're already loyal to that brand, right? For example, let's say Starbucks. If you have a Starbucks coffee that you are in love with, you don't have to be seeing a new commercial, a new ad on Starbucks in order to go to it. When you're craving your coffee, you're going to go to Starbucks and you're already loyal to that brand. However, the marketing, what it does is going to bring new response to, it's going to bring those new customers, the potential clients, right? You're going to be putting out those ads, the mock bookings, all that information out there for people that maybe are not that familiar yet with your brand, and to draw them in. So the branding, what it does is going to create the value. You're going to establish what your service value is, versus the marketing is going to derive value. So through your marketing materials, you're supposed to show what type of value are your clients obtaining by booking with you, by booking and going to your brand. You're going to show them that you are offering free service, that you're helping them out with other travel needs, right? That they can most likely find a better deal maybe on their own if they're going through Expedia, if they're going through an OTA like Priceline, Kayak.com, etc. But you have to make sure that you're showing your clients, that your potential clients especially, that they're going to have an additional value, right? That you're going to be helping them with the research, that you're going to be sending them the quote, that you're going to be helping them out, that they're going to have a personalized experience, that you're going to be able to be right there if they have any type of complications during their travels. If they need to make any changes, you're going to make the whole process easier for them. So you have to be confident in what your value is as a brand, and you have to show it through your marketing materials to let potential clients know what are they going to be obtaining when they book with you. And finally, branding is the being, right? We already know that branding, the brand is going to be your identity, and the marketing is going to be the doing. It's going to be the action. It's going to be you showing your potential or your target audience what your brand is about. So now that we have that clarification, now let's see what the components are. So branding is going to have the name, it's going to have a voice, it's supposed to have a logo, a tagline, it's going to create some expectations. It's going to have a certain style with fonts, with colors, with a visual style, have a personality, a reputation. And on the other hand, marketing, other components are going to be those mock bookings that you do, ads, the campaigns, the business cards, the flyers, all the social media channels that you're using, if you're creating videos, if you have a website, etc. And once these two connect, what you're going to have is you're going to be sending a message with a value proposition to your clients. So it's very important that you have a clear vision of what your brand is and that you're translating that into your marketing materials, okay? So when you're creating a brand, when you're in that process, maybe some of you that are watching have already started with your logo, with your name, with your design. My question to you is, are you in love with your brand? You need to be in love with your brand. You have to fall in love with your brand. If you're not in love with it, then you have work to do. Then you still have some tweaking. You still have to be changing it a bit until you are 100% sure of, I'm done. Like, this is it, right? This is what I want. I am happy and I'm confident with what I'm showing as my brand. If you're not in love with your brand, you're not going to be showing it in the best way possible, right? We're going to, as travel agents, we're going to be eat, sleep, breathing this brand. And you need to have it, you need to be proud of it, right? Even, let me show you my example. I am proud of my brand that I even have it like on my phone as my screensaver, right? I have it also on my computer. I'm proud of my brand and I have it there. That's what I need to focus on because that brand is selling me and my services as a travel agent, and I need to make sure that I'm getting it out there. So what does a brand mean? Let's begin with the design, right? A brand, if you look at any big brands, they're always going to have a name, a logo, and a tagline as well. Okay, maybe some of you only have a name and a logo. Maybe some of you don't have a tagline just yet. I do highly recommend having one because it's going to give your brand a greater presence. It's going to be stronger, right? Let's work with an example. A big brand like Nike, right? You have Nike, but they also have a logo and they have a tagline, right? And you don't necessarily have to see the name, the logo, and the tagline together for you to identify that it's Nike. You just see one of these and you know it's from Nike. You see on the t-shirt, right? It says Nike, great. You identify the brand. You see the check mark, which is their logo, you know that it's Nike. You see the Just Do It tagline and you know the brand is Nike without it having the logo or the name. So having these three are going to be very, very important to give it a stronger presence, to give your brand a stronger presence when you're bringing it to your target audience through marketing. The next step is going to be style. Does your brand have a certain style? Do you have a color palette already defined? Not only the colors that you maybe chose for your logo, right? But are you using those same colors and that color palette in your marketing material? Let's think, for example, of another big brand. We were talking earlier about Coca-Cola, right? The color palette of Coca-Cola is pretty clear. They have the red, they have the white, they have the black, right? And they're using that constantly in their marketing materials. They're not shifting. You're not going to be seeing all of a sudden the logo of a different crazy color, or in their marketing materials, maybe using a color palette that's completely off, because the color palette is going to be tying a lot more your brand. So you should also have fonts if you're maybe creating, if you're using Canva, for example, and you're creating, let's say mock bookings, flyers, any type of materials, videos, stuff like that. You should have fonts already in mind that you are going to stick to when you're creating the marketing materials. First, it's going to save you time, right? And you're going to have, and that's going to have a stronger identity. When you look at Disney, for example, they have certain fonts that they use regularly. You're not seeing Disney or the information that they write with all these crazy fonts. They stick to what they like. And that's going to save you time, and it's going to be a stronger way of improving your branding. So also a purpose. Your brand needs a purpose. That's why we talk about specialized niche. Once I knew what my niche was, I was able to figure out like, oh, okay, my brand needs work, right? It needs to tie together. An example that I'm going to be putting is, let's think about a travel agent that their niche are travel or wedding destination, right? They want wedding destination. So when I think of a travel agent that works with wedding destinations, I think of their logo or their color palette, and I'm not thinking about crazy colors, right? Like an electric blue or really bright yellow, or colors that are not tied with the style and the niche. I think of maybe more blush colors, more neutral colors, like gold or golds or silvers, grays, stuff like that, right? Those type of color palettes. And that's going to be able to tie in well with your niche. Okay, so you have to make sure that both that your design, your style, and your purpose are tied well together. When you have those three, then you're going to have what we call brand cohesion, right? It makes sense. They're cohesive. But you have to make sure that you're showing that throughout your marketing material. Show it. Show that color palette, show that logo, show that tagline, show those fonts, show that niche that you're having. Show it throughout your marketing materials and make the comparison throughout all your social media pages. Look at your Facebook pages if you're using Instagram, if you're using TikTok, if you have your web page. Are the styles and the colors and the fonts, everything matching? Are your marketing materials matching? Do they like mesh well? Do they go well? Do they match together? Or do you have just your logo and your name, and then you're putting all these crazy type of styles? That's not going to help your brand to be stronger and to be identified by your audience. So keep that in mind, all right? So we're going to go here quickly with two examples of two vendors that we have. We're going to go with Princess Cruise Lines and Virgin Voyages, all right? So Princess Cruise Lines, and they have a very defined design, style, purpose, same as Virgin Voyages, and it's easily identified by just looking at the marketing materials or their social media pages. So when I think of Princess, when I think of their logo, for example, I know that their logo is like a woman. She's at a profile and her hair is like wavy, simulating like the waves of the ocean. And they have a certain color palette, right? Princess going with white. They have blue, but it's not any type of blue. They have a specific type of blue, like a navy-ish type of blue. Versus if you compare it with Royal Caribbean, they use more of a royal blue, right? And yellow and white. And also when you look, for example, at Virgin Voyages, at their logo, they have the two V's. If you don't recognize it, it's like looking something like this. It's two V's and their color palette is with red. It's red, it's with white, and they tie that very well with their style, right? So when you think of Princess Cruise Lines, when I have a certain client looking for a cruise, if they're an older type couple maybe wanting a certain cruise, I don't know, to maybe Alaska, to enjoy, just indulge in beautiful landscapes, something classic, something elegant. I think of maybe they're for Princess Cruise Line, and that's their purpose, that's their niche, right? But then when I look at Virgin Voyages, if I have a certain client that they really want like the party vibes, and they want energy, but they want luxury and they want the drinks and all this stuff, then Virgin Voyages would be the good option. And then when you look at their social media, that's how they're presenting their brand through their marketing materials, right? If you go to Princess on Instagram, you're going to see they have great videos. They show all their ships, all their services, but they're staying true to their style, to their purpose, and to their niche. Same goes with Virgin Voyages, because they have this more hip, energetic, like vibrant type of style. They're showing that through their marketing materials. You're going to see that they have videos and they have a party and they have lights and they're hip and they're just, always happening. So you have to make sure that you are showing that you're showing your style, your design, and your purpose cohesively. Remember, brand cohesion through all your marketing materials. So we're also going to see here a couple of our resources, okay? Most of you have heard of Canva. Everyone's in love with Canva. Canva is an amazing free resource that you can use, or you can choose to pay for the pro membership as well with them. But other types of resources that you can look at are, for example, Poster My Wall. So Poster My Wall can also be free, or I believe they also have like an upgraded plan, but it's very easy to use. They also have all these type of templates that you can scroll. If it's banners, business cards, if you want to create gift certificates, postcards, letterheads, anything like that, documents, web banners, logos, you can use this type of resource as well. I actually created my own logo on this one. So I felt that I was like overthinking it a bit with Canva. I was getting really excited, but I felt that a lot of the logos that I saw were the majority from Canva, and I wanted something different. So I started browsing a bit more and exploring with Poster My Wall. I started with just like, let's just try it out, maybe just one, my first design, the first mock, and my first design just turned out being the actual logo that I use today. So this is a great resource that you can use. Another one is Luca. For those that maybe don't feel too comfortable of creating your own logo, you can use something like luca.com. And this one you do have to pay, but literally in seconds you can just have a logo. All right. They show here just how step by step how to do it. You pick your industry. So I'm going to put travel industry. You can choose here like from predetermined designs of like how sort of you would like it to look, or you can even skip this step and see what other ones do they offer, right? Let's just go towards maybe, let's put this one up here. Let's say something like this, right? And let's say my color palette is going to be yellow, or at least my initial one. Here is the optional slogan or tagline that you can add later on. Let's put that word travel agency. I'm going to continue. And it's going to start generating some optional logos for you. You're not going to be able to customize it as much as you can, for example, in Canva, but this is just like a really quick way of having a logo. All right. Let's say that I like this one, right? Let's customize it. You can have different options if you want like different colors. You can change here like the size, the type of font, the colors. They give you here other type of options. You can choose whichever you like. And if you scroll down here, they're going to give you the option of just offering absolutely everything that you need. If it's for your social media, if it's logo files to download, if it's the business cards, social covers, letterheads, email signatures, right? If it's for your website. And look here, well, we're already talking about your style, right? Color palette. The style guide is very important. Do you have already your color palette decided? You see here that they show 6 colors. Your color palette should have at least 6 colors determined, and you should have that very, very clearly established, and make sure that you're using it throughout all your marketing materials, right? So this is an additional website that you can check out if you're interested. They offer all types of branding materials, but again, this is not free. You do have to pay in order to download your logo and start purchasing any type of marketing materials that you wish. All right. And last but not least, Grammarly. Grammarly, I feel that I have recently used Grammarly, and it has been crazy helpful. If you guys use Chrome, you can add to Chrome. This is a Chrome extension. All right, just you can add to Chrome. You can just download it. It's super, super easy. But the great thing of having this added to Chrome is that every time that you use Canva or you use Gmail, if I have any team builders watching this, you can use Grammarly when you're writing emails for your prospects or you're creating job posts as well. So Grammarly is going to be checking the structure. It's going to be checking the tone that you're writing in. Sometimes when we read it, we can think it reads okay, but it's good to have that additional help when you're writing anything at all, making sure that when you're putting something with your brand on it, that it's written correctly with the right Grammarly structure and with the right tone. And it also gives you like suggestions. If maybe the wording can be different, you can change it. If it's maybe too repetitive or redundant or anything like that. It's just super, super quick and easy to verify the information that you're putting out there. So Grammarly, highly recommended using this for absolutely everything. And it's very easy. Just download that Chrome extension and automatically it's going to be popping up on every page that you're using. All right. Over here, next is going to be, now that we have your brand ready to go, where should you be branding? And this is going to be tied with our next session of Branding 102. We're going to be doing some training and some practices of how you can customize certain items. So our brand should be absolutely everywhere in your social media. If you're using Facebook, Instagram, if you're using LinkedIn, if you're using Pinterest, right? If you're having a website, anything at all should have your brand on it. Just smack that baby right on it. If it's the name, if it's the logo, if it's the tagline, make sure it's all over there. Your forms, if you have a request form, if you have the travel quotes, if you have the credit card authorization form, if you have a travel protection waiver, all of those should have your brand on it. And we are going to have some examples in our next training with that. CEO, which stands for your search engine optimization, which is going to be if you have a Google page, if you have a website, making sure that you're up there and that you're showing your brand with it, and all your marketing materials, right? All the flyers, all the business cards, all the mock bookings, everything that you're putting out there, the videos, reels, make sure that you are showing through your marketing materials are all your branding items. And finally, did you guys see that maybe throughout this presentation, I slightly put in some of my own brand? You might have noticed a name around there, like a little tagline. My tagline is Ignite Your Wanderlust. Maybe you saw my logo somewhere. That's another way of just showing that you should put your brand out there, even it can be something very subtle, something small. It doesn't always have to be something like really big in your face, having a really big logo right there in the client's face all the time. It can be subtle, but make sure that you're there, right? It's another way of like getting into the subconscious of your clients, making sure that when they see your name, your logo, or your tagline, that they are connected to you as a travel agent. All right, guys, so that is all for today. I hope to see you guys next time for Branding 102. Thank you so much for joining, and I really hope that this was helpful for you guys. And just have fun. Enjoy the process of branding. Make sure to love your brand 100%. Fall in love with it, okay? And I'm sure it's going to be a lot more successful. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining. This was Izzy Ramirez. Till next time.